Hello and welcome to episode 59 of A Week in Watches. My name is Buettner, managing editor of Worn & Wound.
I'm Zach Weiss, co-founder of Worn & Wound.
As you can tell, we are not in studio today. We are standing just outside of the Windup Watch Fair Chicago. This is a special episode, episode 59. We're going to be joining a lot of the exhibitors talking about some of their new releases this week, so it's a bit of a special episode.
This time we did something a little bit different. You're not going to hear from us quite as much. Instead, we let the brands do the talking. There were many new releases. I think we talked to 8 brands between myself, Buettner, and Zach Kazan, who also joined us inside.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great new releases in here, and of course, a lot of really amazing people that we get to
Yes.
see, and that's maybe my favorite part of Windup Watch Fairs. Before we jump into things, Zach, what are you wearing?
I got a Christopher Ward C1 Bel Canto on. Reminds me when the hour's up so that I know where to be.
There you go. I'm wearing an Omega Seamaster Low Prof. We don't go small. It shows like this, and if there's a venue to wear a watch like this, it's an event like this.
Yeah, you want to stand out in the crowd.
Gotta stand
Good
out.
conversation starters.
Let's jump into all the releases.
All right, see you there.
Hey, welcome back to A Week in Watches. I'm Zach Kazan. I'm standing in front of the Bulova booth with TJ Harris from Bulova. TJ, welcome to A Week in Watches.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
It's great to have you here. You guys are a mainstay at Windup Watch Fairs. It's great to have you here in Chicago. I wanted to specifically have you on to talk about a new reintroduction of a line from Bulova, the Jet Star line. A reintroduction of a watch from the 70s with a really cool movement. I wonder if you could kind of take us through the new Jet Star.
We're really excited to reintroduce the 1973 Jet Star for the 50th anniversary of the watch. What we really did was we modernized that case of that original Jet Star watch with a lot of the influence from the original, but really gave it a nice angular case. And a big feature that's really important is the introduction of Bulova's proprietary movement, the Precisionist.
Yeah. What makes that movement special?
What makes this movement really special is the extreme accuracy, but the smooth sweeping second hand.
Right. Yeah. No, it's really cool to see. In person, it kind of has the visual representation of a mechanical watch, but obviously it's a very high frequency quartz movement.
Yeah, and that is something that we're really proud of, and I have the opportunity to hold on to the watch and really see that movement in action.
Yeah. So there are 3 different versions of the watch that you've debuted here at the Windup Watch Fair. I'm really partial to the you call it a Merlot dial or a red
correct.
dial? Yeah, it's
Correct,
really
yes.
beautiful. It's hard to do a red dial properly.
It is, and that really dramatic dégradé pattern on the dial really stands out, and it's something really special. In addition to that, there's a white silver dial with in the limited edition version with red, white, and blue accents, and the last one is the gold tone with butterscotch style.
And the price point of these watches?
It starts at $595 and limited edition is $695.
Awesome. Yeah, they're really cool watches. Bulova does such a nice job of paying homage to the long history of the brand with these really tasteful reissues that they kind of teach us something about the history of watchmaking in America.
Yeah, for a brand that's been around for nearly 150 years, it's nice to see the innovation that the brand puts into the watches with things like the proprietary Precisionist movement and really digging into the heritage and using that influence to bring the brand forward.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for taking us through the watches, TJ. It's great to have you here, and we look forward to seeing you at Windup's in the future. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, and now I am joined by Kelly Henriksen from Minase Watches. Minase actually just before the show announced a brand new watch, which is really exciting for them, and we have it here today. Kelly, can you tell us about the new watch? And also, can you pronounce it for me, because I think I was going to mess it up.
The new collection is called Uruga. It means it's those 4 parts that come on it.
Okay.
It's the bigger watch we have yet, and the smaller. We have a 42 millimeter version and a 31. So that's also the first really ladies watch we have.
Okay.
Before we had unisex watches, but this is really intended for ladies. And it's inspired from diamond settings.
Okay.
So those 4 pieces here really want to look like the pieces we have on diamonds.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the finishing on the case and how that is done?
So as for all Minase watches, it's a Sala finishing. It's a very difficult technique to master because it's done by hand. It's a wheel turning, and we use diamond powder to polish the pieces. We can only do flat surfaces with this technique. So if you just move a bit and it becomes rounded, then you need to start again. Here we can see on the sides the mirror finishing. It's really shiny, and here it's brushed.
It's a really exceptional case. I mean, people, I recommend you go check out. Minase actually reviewed the DeVito maybe 2 years ago. They really specialize in really complex construction. And while this watch might look more simple at a glance, up close you can see there's, like 13 parts or something to the case?
It looks more simple, but actually it's a bit more difficult. You have 14 pieces for the case and 16 screws. But yes, it's really quite complicated construction.
It's really quite exceptional in person. The crystal also curves in a unique way. And just quickly, could you tell a little about the dial texture on this as well?
Every Minase watch is intended to show something from Japan.
Okay.
Often it's inspired from nature. And for this one, they wanted to do something that reminded the Minase River. Next to the factory, there's a gorge and this river. And so they wanted to do those patterns that look like waves.
It's a very beautiful, subtle pattern on the dial that I don't think I've seen on any other watch before. It's really quite attractive. Kelly, thank you so much for showing us the Minase Uruga, and thanks for coming to the show.
With pleasure.
And hopefully we'll see you in New York.
Yes, sure.
Hey, next up we have an exciting new watch from Benrus. This is a reissue of an older watch. It's called the Ultra-Deep. This is a dive-tested watch. Now, I can say that because I was there for the dive. This is my friend Darius from Benrus. We're going to talk about this a little bit. The Ultra-Deep, tell us about the watch that this is based on.
Sure, well, this is from literally mid-1960s. Benrus released what was called the Ultra-Deep at the time. It was originally an EPSA case compressor design and very popular at the time. And we decided, we've always listened to customers to see what's the next product to bring in that would excite people. So very high on the list has been the Ultra-Deep for some years. And we wanted to make sure we did it right, just like any of the products we've always worked with. This just came out the other day, as you said, awesome dive torture test with 15 divers in the water. And we're really proud to release it over here. We, as always, did some upgrades to bring it to, current standards, but maintain really the identical footprint. It's the same watch in almost every way, aesthetically. It is an acrylic crystal, but to meet a 20 ATM test, we really had to put a lot of time to working with that. A few key points: the original cathedral hands, something specific to the Benrus piece, and also having an internal magnifying lens to us are really important, little aspects to just bring back the historic value of this true piece. So really excited to introduce it here with you guys.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see this watch come to fruition, and of course it does the original justice in every way. This is a 36 millimeter watch. The crown design here kind of creates some visual heft here, so it doesn't wear quite as small if that number sounds like, oh, I don't know, that's too small. Like, it wears really well on the wrist. And by the way, that dive testing part, we'll have a lot more details on that coming to Warner Wound soon. Suffice to say, the watch has survived just fine. And I gotta say, it looked pretty good with those wetsuits.
It looked awesome.
This is the Ultra-Deep. This is available
beginning of August.
And what's the price point on this?
It'll be $1,095, and we're really excited. The response has been amazing.
All right, well, congratulations on the release of this. Turned out just beautiful. We have a lot more details on the Benrus Ultra-Deep, now live on Warner Wound. We'll put a link to that down below. Darius, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Hi everyone, I'm joined here by Lorenzo Ortega of Laurier Watches, who has presented a brand new watch at the Windup Watch Fair Chicago 2023, and he's here to tell us about it. So Lorenzo, what are you holding in your hand?
I have here Hydra Series 3. We're unveiling it here in Chicago. People can try it on for the first time in the metal. So this is our brand new GMT diver. It's our largest case size yet at 41, but I designed it to work on my small wrists. I have a 6-inch wrist. It should also work on bigger wrists. It's still got that sleek profile, 200 meters water resistance. The Hydra was always meant to be our multifunctional diver. So it's got the dive function, which has blue loom, and the GMT functions in green loom, C1.
This is using the Miyota 9075?
That's correct, yeah.
That's correct.
So this has the new Miyota 9075 GMT. It's got the quick setting hour hand.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Very convenient for travel.
What was the motivation in making it a larger case size from the previous version of the Hydra?
We've gotten lots of requests for bigger case sizes.
Okay.
So we wanted to satisfy those requests. But also we've been wanting to do, like this has been on my drawing board for 5 years now.
Okay.
We've been wanting to do that bigger, bolder, toolier, sportier diver. So the Neptune is our Submariner, this would be our Seacoast.
Okay, that makes total sense. Yeah.
So when Miota came out with the GMT movement, we're like, this is the perfect opportunity to put a GMT function in a dive watch and make it the Hydra, like the monster with the many heads. It's got the multiple functions.
Yeah, that's great. And what does it cost and when will it be available?
It will be available on our website on Friday, July 21st for $599.
$599. So that is a remarkable value for a GMT diver, particularly one with the jumping local hour hand, also called a flyer GMT.
Right.
So yeah, that's really exceptional, really excellent new watch.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Zach.
Hey, next up I'm here with my good friend Mike Pearson of the brand Zodiac. Zodiac has some new watches this week, but you've actually got quite a few new watches, but this week in particular you have an interesting new watch that incorporates a new case material for Zodiac, if I'm not mistaken. These are white ceramic, of course, big colors. I love Zodiac when they're using big colors. You got some big colors going on here. Tell us about these watches.
Sure, well last year we did a ceramic watch in black. And it was kind of introducing the fact that we could do titanium, we did meteorite, we did ceramic. So this year we brought our colors in. So we did the traditional, we've got our watermelon, we've known for orange, and we do the baby blue, like we did in the 60s with the Bakelite. So it was a play on traditional Zodiac style, but obviously making it fun. I've been asked by a lot of people if we would do ladies' watches, and we're like, well, we do Zodiac, it can fit everybody. Of
course.
So we just soften the color, and it's good for guys and for girls. And it's a little bigger as well, it's 41 millimeters. The ceramic is high polished, but because ceramic isn't brilliant for water resistancy, we added a tub on the inside, so it still keeps that 200 meter water resistancy within it.
Okay.
And as it being a newer material for Zodiac fans, we also want them to realize that we know that it could be maybe new, and they wanted to feel confident within it, so we chronometer certified the inside as well.
Chronometer certified on the inside. And what movement's in this?
This is ours, STP
It's
1-11, yeah.
1-11,
And the
okay.
components have just got better and better and better, and that's going to be more and more going into Zodiac for the future.
All right, great. What's the reaction been like to these watches here at Windup Watch Fair?
Bit nuts actually. Everyone wants to see them, which is great. You guys do awesome on the station and the pods, but everyone wants to see something new. And I think for a lot of people, when they see these colors, you might think it feels playful, but when you get to turn the bezel and feel the crown and hold them, it feels like a proper Zodiac. But we sold out of the blue whilst at the show. That's what everyone runs to first, and then the orange seems to be the most popular.
Excellent. So these are available now, and what's the price on these?
$17.95.
$17.95. We have more details on the ceramic case Super Seawolf from Zodiac, now live on One. Mike, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks all.
And now we're here at Collective Horology. I'm joined by Asher Rapkin. Asher, hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You guys are really becoming a staple here, bringing all sorts of interesting independent brands to the show floor. So welcome back to Chicago.
Thank you.
The brand I wanted to talk to you about today is James Lamb watches. You brought several examples of the James Lamb Origin Series watches. Why don't you tell viewers a little bit about these watches and why they're so special?
Absolutely. So James is a watchmaker based out of England, and he is quite literally a one-man shop.
Yeah.
James makes all of his cases entirely by hand.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean literally by hand. Hammer, fire, and lathe.
And they're made out of an unusual material.
Yeah, so they're made out of 935 Argentine silver. And what that is a very specific alloy of silver that won't tarnish nearly as quickly as a standard silver.
Yeah.
So a watch, for example, that I've had for a year and a half still looks pretty much brand new. So I leaned into him because not only is he making something handmade, he also has a really unique point of view. The watches don't just feature a case that he's literally made from scratch. They also feature gorgeous cloisonné dials and an eccentric ceramic dial that he himself makes. And finding someone to do that, especially in this day and age, is extremely hard.
Yeah, the case just has a feel unlike anything else. There's really nothing quite like silver. There's a weight to it. It takes an engraving really well. There's a really beautiful engraving on the back side of these.
When I collect, for example, I'm really trying to find where the art and where the value is in a certain piece.
Yeah.
And for me, I've had the incredible honor of handling, almost a third of the watches that James has ever made.
Yeah.
And what I've been able to see through that is the real iteration from mine, which is number 3, up to some of the ones we have on the table, which are in the mid-20s. And you can really see the refinement.
Yeah, you showed me differences in the crown in particular, and how he's like kind of, the new crowns are more robust and polished in a more, kind of refined way.
Exactly, and that's the thing that we don't really get to see as consumers generally, because if you go into a store, you might see an example.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to see a very specific independent watchmaker, for example, you might be able to see number 1 and then years later number 30. But being able to see all of that and how quickly he's evolving as a watchmaker, it's an honor, and it's exciting to be able to be a part of someone's growth and success that way.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that you've handled roughly a third of the watches that he's ever made.
Yeah.
These watches are obviously not mass-produced. There's so much handwork in them. How many are in this series in total?
Yeah.
We talk about the limited nature of them all.
So the Origin series is going to have 50 pieces in it, and we're somewhere around number 30 now. Once those 50 pieces are done, and I should say those 50 pieces are defined by 4 dials, each tied to the elements, so water, air, etc. Once those are complete, James is going to move on to a new model.
Okay.
So when we talk about rarity in the watch industry, this is
genuinely rare.
Genuinely rare.
Genuinely rare.
And not that that's necessarily a reason to buy something or invest in it, but it is exciting when you realize that there are still artisans out there that are working away in a workshop making 50 of something, and then that's it.
Yeah. Price point on these watches?
So all of the Origin series right now are $8,900 USD.
Okay.
So that's $8,900 for a cloisonné dial and a handmade precious metal case.
Yeah.
Which, when you consider all of the time and effort, it takes him literally almost 4 or 5 months to make one of these watches. It's honestly a deal.
Yeah. They're really fantastic watches, very impressive in person, and really watches that you have to see in the metal, I think, to fully appreciate. Thank you so much, Asher, for bringing them to us here in Chicago.
It's our pleasure.
I hope we get to see them again in New York and on into future lineup, because they're truly special.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you for coming.
Happy to be here.
Hi everyone, I am joined now by Guillaume Léonard from Baltic Watches, who have joined us once again at Windup Watch Fair Chicago. They've been a staple actually at Windup Fair since the very first. And very exciting that this year they have announced a new version of some of their core lines, and they were first on view here at Windup Chicago. So Guillaume, can you tell us about these new watches?
Sure. So we introduced 6 new models, both 3 new bicompacts, 3 new HMS. They came in a brand new size, so 36.5 millimeters. We used to have 38 millimeters for the HMS and bicompacts 01 that were introduced back when the company was started in 2016. Then we had the HMS and bicompacts 02 with new dials about 3 years ago to bring a bit more depth and texture to the dials. And so now this is the 3rd iteration, and we wanted to go down in size. We love how the MR01, the micro order, looks in 36. So we thought, why not going in a smaller case size for the HMS and bicompacts. We introduced Salmon as well. Has been extremely popular. Zach, you know as well, because we made a collaboration with One and One that sell out really quickly. And so we introduced Salmon, which works really well, as well as a new bracelet that fits the vintage vibe of these smaller watches. We also brought out applied indices to bring a lot more depth to the dials. So we used to play, and we still play with texture a lot. Grainy finishes, brush finishes, and then the applied indices plays with the light so nicely and brings a whole new dimension to the watches we now offer.
And so what movements are powering these? Is it the same?
They are not the same. So the HMS 03 is powered by Mayoda 850 movement, so automatic, with a 60-hour power reserve. On the chrono, we still use the Seagull manually wounded movement, because that's what works best with the proportion of this watch. And same for this one, it also allows us to keep a fairly fair price point, so less than $400 excluding tax for these.
So this one's less than 400, and the bicompacts will be
600.
600.
Yeah.
And when will these watches be available?
So these are currently being assembled. They will be available early August.
Early August. It's very exciting, having followed the brand along from the beginning. The HMS and bicompacts, like I said, were what you launched with. We obviously did the limited edition around the launch of the second one, and now this is the 3rd model several years later. So it's kind of the core collection of Baltic refreshed.
Definitely, that's what started us. And we are happy to have it still within the collection and to bring new designs and new depths and new work into these watches, and I hope people like them.
Well, they look fantastic, and yeah, I mean, congratulations on the launch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Of course, our pleasure.
And see you in New York.
And finally this week we have a really cool new watch from G-Shock. This is the Aurora Oval, and here to talk with me about it is my friend Ryan from G-Shock. Ryan, this watch is amazing.
Yes, it is. So this watch is great for a lot of different reasons. This is our rainbow treated IP watch right here. You can see the rainbow coating that you can see all around the model. What's really cool about this one is we actually did a recrystallization process. So if you feel the bezel on the top of it, you can actually feel like a smooth kind of patterning around it. And so we heat the metal to 3,000 degrees in order to get this texture, and then we layer it with the IP coating, giving it that rainbow treatment.
It's just amazing. And the effect that this gives is, it's hard to describe, and it's not going to come through in photographs properly for sure, but seeing it is really something else. It really kind of takes on new identities in different lights and at different angles, which is really cool. I was really surprised by how wearable this watch is as well.
You can see it's really wearable because it has this U shape to the band texture. So even if you take it off, it maintains that U shape, keeping comfort on your wrist.
And I also understand that the strap is removable.
It is. So actually, you can easily remove the strap by pressing these two buttons on either side. Comes right off, easily exchangeable.
So if people have other MTG watches with a similar case, they can use the straps.
They can, yeah. So you can always swap out the straps. If you have any other MTG B3000, you are good to go.
The bezel, this is really unique, and because of the way it's made, I understand no two will be alike.
Yes, no two will be alike just because the recrystallization process and the rainbow IP treating, those two in combination make them kind of one of a kind.
Okay, so this is a G-Shock MTG Aurora Oval. This is a limited edition watch. How many of these are being made?
So we don't number our limited editions, but these are priced at $1,400, ready to go. There are very limited amounts in the US though.
We have more details on the Aurora Oval, now live on Worn and Wound. We'll leave a link to that down below. Ryan, thank you so much for talking to me about this beautiful watch.
Yes, it's been a pleasure.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of A Week in Watches. If you enjoy this content, please be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, take care.